are into the part 2 of synchronized UJT triggering, and in the last lecture we had come to the point of proving that how spikes are generated across this resistor RB1, because we told that the output voltage VO is taken between the point B1 and ground, right? So between these 2 points. And for those who did not completely understand how this circuit works, just like to revise in the next 2 minutes. So we had told right. So we are told that the basic operating principle of UJT is the potential at the emitter terminal here. Okay. So the potential at the emitter terminal E, that is VE, decides whether this particular link acts as open or closed. So we told that when this emitter voltage is greater than a critical value called as peak point voltage, then this link acts as closed circuit. Okay, and at that time this capacitor will start discharging from the peak value voltage to ground. On the other hand, when the emitter voltage VE is less than another critical value called as valley point voltage, then this link acts as open circuit. So we told that if at time t equal to 0, this biasing voltage VBB is applied. So we told that at time t equal to 0, the biasing voltage VBB is applied, and we assume that the capacitor voltage VC is equal to 0. So because VC equal to 0, VE is equal to VC, and we also told that the two critical values, that is the peak point voltage and valley point voltage, are both greater than 0. So when the circuit starts at t equal to 0, the biasing voltage VBB is applied, the capacitor is completely discharged, so VC equal to 0, and because VE is equal to VC, VE is less than VV, so this link, it acts as open circuit. So this is basically open. Okay, when this is open, what happens is the capacitor gets access to the biasing voltage VBB through the resistor R. So there is a charging happening from here. Okay, there is a charging which is happening from here towards VBB. So the capacitor starts charging from 0 volts, that is 0 volts, towards VBB, that is this level. And while charging from 0 towards VBB, it encounters the critical value peak point voltage. So capacitor has now reached a potential equal to VP, and when this happens, at that time this particular link, which was till now acting as open circuit, now starts acting as a short circuit. So as soon as this link acts as a short circuit, what we have is the capacitor, which has now charged till the value peak point voltage, will now start discharging from VP towards 0 volts. This is that journey which I am talking about here. So the capacitor charged from 0 towards VBB, and while doing this it encountered a value VP. At VP, link closes and the capacitor start discharging towards ground, and when it start discharging towards ground, it encounters the lower threshold value, that is valley point voltage, and when it comes here, at that time again this link will open like this, and capacitor will again start charging. So this will continue happening till the bias voltage VPB is applied. That is why our charging waveforms were like this. When circuit starts at t equal to 0, the capacitor discharge, so it starts charging from 0 towards VBB. When it reaches VP, the link closes, again discharging starts. So this keeps on happening continuously, like this, like this, like this, like this, and like this. Okay. So note one important thing, that the rate at which the capacitor charges is tau 1 equal to R into C, and the rate at which it discharges can be called as tau 2 equal to RB1 into C. We already have written that, but still I am repeating again. And please note that the value of RB1 is much less than R. That is why the charging time is much larger than compared to discharge time. Now this is what is happening across the capacitor. So what we have drawn here is the capacitor voltage VC. But what happens at the output voltage VO? It's very simple. Again, we'll erase some things here. Here. So when the link is open, at that time capacitor starts charging. That is why when the capacitor is charging like this, at that time the voltage equal to 0. Okay, that is why here we have shown from this point till this point, when capacitor is charging, VO is equal to 0, and when VE reaches peak voltage VP, link closes and discharging starts. So the discharging starts from VC equal to VP. Okay, that is why when the discharging starts, it starts at the point VP and goes till VV. That is why last time I drew a waveform which was little wrong. So I will make the corrections here now. Okay, so we have the peak point voltage, the valley point voltage. So we have two levels, peak and valley. And these are the instants. Yeah. Goes like this, and valley yeah. Charging, discharging, charging, discharging. So during charging, the load voltage is equal to 0. So it goes like this. Okay. So these are the firing pulses. Yeah. So the reason why this particular circuit is called as a relaxation oscillator, basically an oscillator because it is generating firing pulses at a particular frequency. Okay. So we can redraw this here. In a magnified form, VO and T. Okay. Peak point voltage, valley point voltage. So the frequency of this pulses is nothing but this. Either you can take it from this point, like that. Okay. This is the time period T. Okay. And understand that this is the charging time tau 1 and this is the discharging time tau 2. Okay. So tau 1 equal to R into C, tau 2 equal to RB1 into C. Okay. Now it is very clear that the time period T of the pulses T will be equal to tau 1 plus tau 2. That means it is a function of both R comma, not both, in fact it is R, RB1 and C. Yeah, fine. So there are some design equations for designing a UJT triggering circuit. So we can write it like this. First design equation is emitter voltage VE is equal to peak point voltage VP is equal to diode drop plus eta into VBB, which is equal to 0.5 plus eta into VBB, which is approximately equal to eta into VBB. Okay, where eta is anywhere from 0.51 to 0.82. The second design equation is the emitter voltage VE is equal to VBB minus I into R, where this I is this current I. Okay, so this is the pulse width. TP or T pulse. So the pulse width is nothing but equal to tau 2, which is equal to RB1 into C. Fourth is the maximum value allowable for R. So R max should be less than or equal to VBB minus peak point voltage upon peak point current. Fifth is R min, that is the minimum allowable value should be greater than or equal to bias voltage minus valley point voltage upon valley point current. And last formula is nothing but the formula which gives us the frequency of pulses, that is T is equal to R into C natural logarithm of VBB upon VBB minus VP. Okay, so if we solve this, we get R into C into logarithm of VBB upon VBB minus. Now from equation number 1 we have VP equal to VDD plus eta into VBB which is approximately equal to RC into natural logarithm of VBB upon VBB minus eta into VBB, since VD is much lesser than eta into VD. That is why approximately equal to R into C to natural logarithm 1 over 1 minus eta. Okay, so this is my equation number 1. Question 2. Question 3. Question 4. Question 5. And equation 6. Okay. Yeah. So now we are going to cover this point of synchronized UJT triggering, right? So if you remember in the last session, we had made it a point first. Remember that the firing angles omega t equal to alpha and omega t equal to pi plus alpha radians in positive half cycle and negative half cycle respectively are referenced to omega t equal to 0 radians and omega t equal to pi radians respectively. Second, hence the firing pulses generated by the UJT circuit shown above must be synchronized with AC mains. Okay. Third thing, if you observe that this entire waveform you see here, this entire waveform is having one more higher reference, that is the biasing voltage VBB. Okay. So the capacitor is charging from 0 towards VBB, encountering the peak point voltage, and again it is discharging towards ground and it is encountering another level valley point voltage. So the trick here to synchronizing is that if we can synchronize this VBB supply with mains, then our purpose is fulfilled. Okay, so the trick is that VBB should be synchronized with mains. So what we do is that here third point is, since firing pulses are generated as a result of the capacitor C charging towards plus VBB. Fourth point is, we can replace the pure DC voltage VBB by a DC source which is derived from AC mains. This is very important. Okay, so since firing pulses are generated as a result of capacitor C charging towards VBB, we can replace the pure DC voltage VBB by a DC source which is derived from AC main. That is, we have to use a rectifier here. Okay, so this is how it is. So now what I will do, I will copy paste this circuit and then it will be preceded by a DC source which is derived from AC mains. I will remove all unnecessary things from here. Okay, so here I know that I have to apply a DC source VBB. Okay, see now what I do. This is a step down transformer, n is to 1. Here I have a bridge rectifier. Okay. Then I have a zener. And this now becomes my biasing voltage. Okay. So here I have 230 volts mains. 230 volts RMS. Okay, fine. Here I have say for example, if this is 10 is to 1, suppose it's 20 is to 1, 5 is to 1. So it's to 1. So here I have 23 volts RMS, 50 Hertz. What will be the voltage here? It is a bridge rectifier, so it will be 2 Vm by pi. Okay, so 2 Vm by pi would be equal to 2 into 23 into root 2 on pi. So 2 into 23 to root 2 20.6, so 21 volts. Okay, so here 21 volts, right? So here it is like this, here it is smaller, and here I have, okay, what will be the waveform here? It will be a clipped waveform. Okay, so for example, if Vz chosen is 10 volts, the Zener breakdown voltage is 10 volts, then the waveform which is coming here will be okay. So it will be clipped at 10. So it will be like this. Okay, let me make it larger. Vz equal to 10 volts. So we have a waveform which looks like this. Okay, so now this clipped waveform will act as VBB. Okay, so this now acts as the VBB supply. Okay, so now my UJT circuit is driven by a DC source, not a pure DC voltage, which is derived from a 230 volt mains. Okay, so now we can conclude it like this, that the bias voltage VBB for UJT relaxation oscillator circuit is not a pure DC voltage, but it is a DC source which is derived from the AC mains, hence it will drive the UJT relaxation oscillator synchronized with AC mains. So that is why this circuit which is there in front of us is actually called as synchronized UJT triggering circuit. So we can say thus the modified circuit shown above is called as synchronized UJT triggering circuit. Okay, so this is what is the exact circuit which is available in our lab, and I will show you this now. Is the kit photo visible to you? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we can clearly see that in our lab we have one kit which is called as line synchronized UJT triggering circuit. So line means mains. So whether you say synchronized or main synchronized or line synchronized, it all means the same. So we can see here clearly, we can clearly see here that here this is our AC mains. Obviously this is step down already, so we can say this is a step down. Okay, so already this is step down, this is step down, and this is our bridge rectifier which we have shown. So here what we will get is a pulsating DC. This is the current limiting resistor which will make sure that the Zener acts in the Zener breakdown region, and the value Rz will be less than Rz max and less than Rz min. This Zener will be as chosen, and here what we will get is the waveform something like this, like this, like this. Okay, and this is our normal UJT triggering circuit. The capacitor C, the fixed resistor R1, the variable resistor R2. We can actually change the firing angle by just making this resistor as variable. This is our RB2 as in our circuit. This is our RB1. So instead of RB1 passive resistor, what they have done is that they have actually put a pulse transformer here. So pulse transformer's primary winding acts as RB1, and you know that transformer windings have very low resistance. That is why our statement that this resistor R of the charging path is much greater than RB1 is very much satisfied in our circuit, because RB1 is nothing but it is the primary winding of pulse transformer, right? So this is entire thing till here. Okay, so the entire thing till here is all control circuit. It's all control circuit, and from here it is a power circuit, right? So this pulse transformer is it is not 1:1:1, it is 1:1, part number 4502. That means one primary and one secondary. So I can say that you should forget this thing now. Okay, so this is not there only. Okay, so it is 1:1. So here what we have to do is we have to simply make one connection like this. We have to simply make one connection like this through a patch cord, and the firing pulses which are generated here. So firing pulses will be generated here. We will have firing pulses here like this, like this, like this, and this firing pulses will be transferred through the pulse transformer like this, like this, like this. Here is our SCR, and we have to make one more connection from here. That is a wire connected like this. So here what we get is pulsating DC. When SCR fires, there is an inbuilt resistor here of 462 ohms. Okay, this is how it is. So now you will be able to appreciate when you come to the lab that why this UJT triggering circuit is the way it is, because the explanation is given here in the theory class. Okay, so only difference which is there is that they have replaced this with a variable resistor. Okay, so we'll make the changes here also. Fixed resistor and a variable resistor. Okay, so this is my pot R, this is my R1, and here what they have done is they have replaced this passive resistor RB1 with a pulse transformer. Okay, here I have my SCR. Gate, cathode, anode, load resistor R, and we can have an AC mains here. Okay, so this can be 230 volt RMS, the load resistor RL, and here I am a firing pulses generated. Here same pulses will be transmitted here. Here, so this will be alpha. Okay, I hope that things are clear here. Yeah. If I show other photos also, you can see that the same circuit is repeated here. You see here in semi converter also you get the same kind of a triggering circuit. Okay, see here now, same kind of setup is there. Rectifier, Zener limiter, Zener clipper, and here again firing pulses, this, and here we have 1:1:1 pulse transformer, part number 4503. So here I will get alpha, and here I will get pi plus alpha. So these two secondaries are connected in such a way that the voltages appearing across them are 180 degrees out of phase. That is why we can say that here I get alpha and here I get pi plus alpha. So if I make a connection like this, I take one wire, connect it here, I take another wire, I connect it here. That means this T1 will get the firing angle alpha and T2 will get the firing angle pi plus alpha. Same thing is repeated even in full converter. Same setup is here. There is rectifier, Zener limiter, Zener voltage clipper, again pulse amplifier, firing pulses. Okay, there are 4 here. So we have alpha, so we have to connect from G1 to G1, G3 to G3, G2 to G2, and G4 to G4. Okay, so alpha here, pi plus alpha here, pi plus alpha here. Okay, one more circuit is there in which the same UJT triggering circuit is used, that is AC voltage controller. Yeah, so we can again see here same thing is repeated. Rectifier, Zener limiter, Zener clamper, firing pulses. Okay, here we get alpha, here I get pi plus alpha. So I connect one wire like this thing, another wire I connect here, and here I am having from here what I get here is alpha pi plus alpha. Okay, some of the students have performed simulation of AC voltage controller, so you can appreciate this more. Okay, this is how it is. We can take one numerical. Okay, fine. There is one more design equation which I forgot. Here, that is the seventh one. So the discharge resistor RB2 is approximately equal to 10,000 upon eta into VBB. 7. Design UJT based circuit for following specifications. Given VBB equal to 30 volts, intrinsic standoff ratio eta is equal to 0.51, IP, that is a peak point current, is equal to 10 microamperes, valley point current is equal to 10 milliamperes, valley point voltage is equal to 3.5 volts. The pulse width which is required for fire and SCR is equal to 50 microseconds, and the oscillator frequency should be equal to 60 Hertz. Okay, and it is given. Assume the capacitor C is equal to 0.5 microfarad. Okay. So what is expected from us is the maximum value of R, the charging resistor, the minimum allowable value of charging resistors R max, and RB2. Okay. RB1, I'm very sorry. So the answer key for this is Rmin should be greater than or equal to 2650 ohm. The maximum allowable value R max should be less than 1420 kilo ohms, or in other words is less than equal to 1.42 mega ohms. The value of RB1 comes out to be 100 ohm. The value of RB2 should be equal to 653.6 ohms. Okay, and the value of R will be equal to 44.56 kilo ohms.